What is happening, mediocre people of YouTube? This is Mark Allen's giveaway, getting ready to ship. Hey, what do you want from a mediocre channel? You know, I'm just getting around now to shipping it. Sorry, Mark. It's on the way. I'll email you, like I said, when I drop it and give you the tracking. But what I wanted to talk about today is something that's really important. And it's not just important to me, it's important to everyone. I recently watched a documentary type series on Netflix. I'd actually watched it before, but I started watching it again just recently. And it's called Flint Town. Okay? And if you don't know Flint, Michigan, Flint, Michigan is pretty much where General Motors was, even though their headquarters was actually in Detroit. It was pretty much where all General Motors manufacturing took place, was in Flint, Michigan. And long story short, it's gone. Everything. The only thing left up there out of I don't know how many auto plants. And when I say auto plants, I'm talking about 4 and 5 million square foot auto plants that I personally gained from tearing down. Not long after NAFTA passed. I mean, that's right, at the height of when I was first getting into the wrecking business, and it was fantastic. I mean, it was it was unbelievable. There was so much work tearing down these auto plants, and this was NAFTA. And what a lot of people don't realize about the whole NAFTA situation, they think, well, these automotive plants went away and they're gone. They're not gone. Where do you think you get your cars from? They're located in other countries. A lot of it is in Mexico. And from a businessman's standpoint, I mean, why pay this guy? Listen, back then, I mean, these guys, let's just round numbers here. Guys made 50 grand a year. Let's say let's go by hourly because it's easier that way. Let's say the guy made 25 bucks an hour. With his benefits, he's around 45, 50 bucks an hour. Well, and I've got 10,000 employees. Or I can go and manufacture the same product right across the border in Mexico, and I only have to pay these workers $2 a day. I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? It was horrible. It was one of the worst things our nation ever did was the NAFTA agreement. But anyway, Flint, Michigan, getting back to that, it's like a ghost town now. It's terrible. It's crime-ridden. It's fucking horrible. And, what's getting back to what I, was really important about this particular video is that, all of us need to realize what the media is portraying to us and what's really going on. And when I say media, I'm talking about all your news outlets, documentaries on Netflix, YouTube, wherever. Because these documentaries come up and they talk about how, and it's terrible, they don't have enough police officers in Flint to police the city. And like I say, it's crime-ridden. You got gangs, you got drugs, you got, all this going on. But every time you watch one of these things, whether it's on Netflix or wherever, or whether it's your local news, they always talk about, well, it's because of racism, and it's because of poverty, and this and that and the other. And it's not. It's not about that at all. It is about natural selection and just life, the life cycle and natural selection. Okay, I'm not taking anything away from it by saying that. I'm just telling you what the reality is, okay? Because that's what it is. When these auto plants started going down, when they announced that they were closing, auto plants and whatnot, the strongest of the species, higher IQs and whatnot got the fuck out of there long before the last plant was closed. Okay? This isn't a dig on anybody. Listen, I'm not the fucking smartest guy in the world either. But that's what it's about. You know, like I said, the strongest of the species got the fuck out of there. They went somewhere else. They found jobs elsewhere. They went and they lived in the neighborhoods that they were comfortable living in. And, you know, I'm sorry to say this, but, you know, in the end, and it was a long process, you know, you don't just tear down all these auto plants in a week. You know, it was many years. But as the years went by, it got worse and worse and worse. And the weaker of the species stayed behind. And I hate to, like I say, I hate to say this, but, you know, what you're left with is a reject pile. And, you know, it doesn't matter what color these people are. It doesn't matter where they come from. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. What matters is it's about natural selection. It's about, you know, how these people can survive and if they can survive. And, you know, most of them can't. You know, they, you know, let me tell you something. People don't turn to fucking selling drugs for minimum wage because they're smart, you know. They turn to selling drugs for minimum wage. And I say that because being a drug dealer these days is just another minimum wage job, you know. So they're not doing that because they're smart and they're the stronger of the species. They're doing that because they're not smart. They're the weaker of the species. So that's the reality, okay? The reality is not about racism. It's not about poverty. It's not about those, you know, those things are all, what do you call it? Side effects of the actual nature of what's going on. So, that being said, should there be a safety net for people that, you know, can't take care of themselves? Well, yeah, there is a safety net. You know, there's things like welfare and whatnot. The unfortunate problem with that is the people who actually need that aren't getting what they need because that system has been abused for so many decades. By, you know, you're not fraudulently collecting a welfare check because you're a smart person, you know. So how do you deal with this, you know? The way you deal with it is by accepting reality. Okay? That it's not about race, it's not about this, it's not about that, it's about reality, you know. Circle of life, natural selection. That's how we deal with these problems. We don't deal with these problems by, you know, just talking about them. You know, we have to find answers to the, you know, solutions to the question, answers to the questions and solutions that work and that are acceptable. You know, we don't get to just blame it on this person and blame it on that. I mean, you could blame it on the automotive companies, and sure, you know, I mean, General Motors, you could blame it on the city of Flint, which is probably a better place to start, because in the beginning, General Motors, they said, look, you know, we want certain tax breaks because this NAFTA thing passed, and we're thinking about moving and this and that, and they went to the city of Flint, and city of Flint told them to go fuck themselves, and they said, well, we're going to leave then. And this, nobody ever thought General Motors was going to leave Flint, Michigan. That's, like I say, if you don't know about Flint, Michigan, do a little research on it, check it out and what it used to be. Flint, Michigan was, you know, as much as everybody says Detroit, yeah, Detroit was the manufacturing, but Flint, Michigan, for General Motors, as far as General Motors is concerned, Flint, Michigan was really the manufacturing mecca for General Motors. And at one time, it was a fucking phenomenal city, man. And it's a shame to see it go down the way it has. You know, again, with the city of Detroit, same deal, you know. Lost many jobs, most of it in manufacturing. That's a problem here with Michigan, and it's not a problem. It's a problem now, but it's been a problem for a long time, is that everything in the state of Michigan revolves around the auto industry, or at least did and it still does in a lot of ways, but not as much as it used to because they were forced to change. But when I talked to friends of mine that were from places like Pennsylvania, and they were in the metal business, and they said, and they manufactured auto parts, but they said, hey, look, when the auto industry got slow, these companies would start manufacturing fucking washers and dryers and shit. Where in the state of Michigan, they just didn't do that. They didn't. The auto companies, yeah, at times when the country was at war and whatnot, sure, they manufactured things for the war. But I'm talking about, in general business, they never switched to manufacturing anything other than automobile components. So yeah, that's the question, man. That's what everybody really needs to keep in mind is all this stuff you see on the television and whatnot, and all these people telling you that, well, it's because of racism and it's because of poverty and this and that. No, those things are side effects and they are alive and well. I'm not going to take anything away from that, but the reality is it's about natural selection. Okay, that's what it is, and until we start dealing with the realities, it's going to stay the same way. And unfortunately, with a place like Flint, I mean, they don't even have enough officers on the street. I think they got like on duty, they had like 9 officers for the entire city on a shift. That's fucking insane, man. I mean, that's just inviting something to happen. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to get off my chest. I've been thinking about it for a couple of days, trying to make this video for a couple of days. And until next time, peace out, moths. Tim Hortons, eh?